Hey, it's Plumber Tom. Don't forget to check in the comments below for a link where you can find additional resources like practice tests and courses you can take. Your support helps me to be able to create more great content. Thanks for watching. Hey, it's Plumber Tom. Welcome to my explanation video of the TOTO Nexus. I recently installed this and it's a little more involved than your typical toilet installation. Here's how I look at it. The first thing you need to do before you start installing this toilet is remove from your mind the expectation that it's going to be anything like setting a normal toilet. As we set a typical toilet, we have the flange, we set the bowl on the flange, that's about it, right? And if that's your expectation with this toilet, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to grumble through the whole thing because it's got about 50 extra steps. The first time I set one of these, I seriously looked at it and thought, congratulations, you've reinvented the wheel and you made it a square. Okay, all the complaints aside, that's why I mean, if you go into this with that expectation, you're gonna have a rough time. But if you go into this with the proper attitude and say to yourself, I'm going to have a good time, I have the skills to do something complicated or difficult or upper level. Yeah, look at me go with my toilet setting skills. Then you're gonna have a good time with this. Let me take you step by step through what it takes to install not only the Nexus, but also a TOTO Washlet bidet super seat, right? The whole thing. This is not a bad setup. I'm telling you, by the time it's done, this is a good toilet. It does have a good flush, but the installation's a little different. Here we go. We start our installation with a typical toilet flange and a typical bowl wax. Now, I don't know, I like to double my wax and make sure that I'm super sealed, but you can see this is just basic, right? I've got my flange, my wax, my supply with a stop. That's our starting point. Where the Nexus becomes different is where they throw in this extra plastic fitting thing. I'm sure it has a technical name, but this is where it differs from your typical installation. We got to install this first. It's going to sit down right over the wax like this. It's going to compress the wax down onto the flange like normal, but we need to do a little preparation before we can put that thing in, okay? First of all, your toilet's going to come with a template. You set that template over the flange, and it gives you 6 places that you're going to need to drill holes into the floor. Honestly, not my favorite thing, drilling holes in tile. But here we go. Get that template set, mark out each of those 6 points through the template onto the floor, then get out your hammer drill, or however you're going to do this, drill through. Now, if there's a concrete floor, that's one thing. You might need to put anchors in. In this case, I went through the tile and there was a wood subfloor. So once I got through the tile, that's good enough. I wanted to make sure to leave that subfloor so that I could screw down into it. So I just buzzed right through the tile. Now it's ready for install. I set that plastic assembly on the flange, tighten it down with the flange bolts, and in the back there are 2 ears that come off, extra securing points, and you'll put a screw on each side of those. Now the kit comes with some screws and anchors. Again, if it's concrete, you'll put some anchors down in the floor. In this case, I used brass wood screws just like I would on any other toilet flange install, and sunk those down into the subfloor. On the flange side, I just used the washer and nut, tightened it down, compressed the wax. That should create a pretty good seal here. Now I'm ready for the other parts. There are 2 plastic blocks that have to be installed on the sides of this plastic assembly. They anchor right down into the floor. These become important later because these are used to secure the toilet in place once the bowl is set. The holes that were drilled earlier in this installation are specifically located so that this block will set right in the right place. I used the long stainless steel screws that came with the toilet kit and sunk those down into the subfloor. Once all that preparation's done, I'm ready to actually set the bowl. The challenge with this is that there's not a lot of place to grab on it. It's got smooth sides. So you can reach into the rim, you can reach around the back. I feel like it's better to have 2 people involved with this because it's big, it's heavy, and it's awkward. You can see from the back this is all one piece. There's no extra work on installing the tank. Everything comes as one piece. Well, that saves me a few minutes of time. But once again, with my aching back, a one-piece toilet is never my favorite because that's a lot of weight. And sometimes you're in a tight spot. It's hard to get 2 people in there. I'm just saying. So I asked for some help. My apprentice came in and we worked together to set that. Now, as you're setting the bowl, the key here is that there is an insert, a porcelain insert up inside that bowl that has to go right down into that black rubber gasket. As you're lowering that bowl over, you can't see anything. So it's all guesswork, but you can kind of feel it. And as you're awkwardly pushing the thing around, you'll feel a little resistance as it starts pushing into that gasket, and then you'll feel it set right down, and the bowl eventually will hit the floor. Whew, what a relief. When that part's done, you kind of stand back and go, wow. You know, I installed that big plastic, whatever it is, and the bowl is in place. Whew, maybe we're getting there, right? At this point, you get out the 2 long screws that are intended to secure the toilet, and you literally screw those through the side of the bowl into that little plastic block that you installed earlier, and it kind of sinks and sets into there. That's what this is all for. Now, that's hopefully going to hold the toilet in place. You'll sink those in. Of course, you want to be careful not to over-tighten because you're driving a screw in against porcelain, which is glass, and it could crack or shatter. So drive it in until it feels snug. Careful at the end. So at this point, this toilet is set on the tile. It's secured from the sides the best that I can, but I was still having a little trouble with it. Check this out. I took a little video. See how I push that? You can hear that toilet has a little bit of a rock. That makes me uncomfortable. I want that toilet set down on the floor, no questions asked. I want to be able to sink it down and secure it. Now I can maybe shim that, right? But if I'm screwing screws into the side to hold the toilet in place, I don't have the ability to like compress it any further to the floor. And that part makes me uncomfortable about this toilet. I'm sitting down on the tile, the bowl's touching pretty much everywhere around. I've sunk those screws into both sides, so the toilet's not supposed to be able to move, but it's still... The thing is, with other typical bowls, I can tighten those nuts onto the flange, try and bring it down a little tighter, maybe shim it here and there. On this one, even if I shim it, like what? It could still move a little bit. The only thing holding it there is these 2 side screws, nothing pushing down. So this, I feel, is kind of like a real flaw in design. Because as an installer, it's like, how am I supposed to keep this thing from rocking? I mean, again, shim it. I'll caulk it. But other than that, like, I can't really force it down any more than just setting it there. Okay, so I don't like that part. Now I'm on to the installation of the washlet. These are actually pretty simple to install. I mean, they're not bad. It has a bracket that's going to lock down to the bowl, and then that washlet toilet seat slides onto it and clicks into place. But before that, you've got to make sure that you've run both the hose and the electrical cord through the hole in that porcelain, because that bracket takes up so much room, you can't push them through afterwards. So you run those through, then you set your bracket and start to tighten that down into place. You got to make sure that that thing's super snug. And I made the mistake of using my cordless drill and was kind of buzzing on those. I think it's better at the end, make sure you've got your hand on a screwdriver so you can feel the torque and feel when it's tight enough without spinning it too much. I was able to get it to set tight, but again, you want to make sure that's secured. Otherwise, it's going to move. That toilet seat's going to move. And if this isn't secured, they're going to be rocking all over the place. Once it is secured, you just push that seat back. It clicks into place. It fits just like it should, especially when you're doing a TOTO washlet on a TOTO toilet. On the side here, they have a nice little night light, but if you ever need to remove the seat, there's a little button there that you push towards the bottom. You push that in, and you can slide the seat right off. I learned that I needed that because, again, my bracket wasn't tight enough the first time. The seat was rocking all over the place, and I was like, woo, I gotta go again. So I found the button, slid it off, tightened it down. Then it clicked into place. It locked nice and tight. Now we're on to the water connection. Really pretty basic. You've got your toilet supply water. You hook up a T that comes with the washlet. You hook up your water supply from your stop to that T. Then you hook up the washlet water supply. It goes right into the side of that T. You got to make sure it's aligned correctly and that it sinks all the way in. But altogether, it comes together pretty quick. It's not too difficult. Of course, you don't want to wrench too hard on this with channel locks or pliers or anything. A little bit snug is good. When you're dealing with plastic parts, don't push it too hard or over tighten. The cord's pretty easy. You just plug it in. But if you don't have an outlet right there, that's a problem. And you'll need an electrician to help with that. And when they put that outlet in, make sure it's a GFCI, right? So there it is, complete. I went and caulked the whole base. I used a clear silicone and tried to really get that to set well. I came back the next day. The toilet was set and solid. My complaints and concerns about that little bit of rock in it were gone because I was able to really caulk that in. But again, not my favorite as far as that connection. Now there's one other thing, the remote. You have to install a remote control on the side. And I just put it at a nice location. I can't remember in the instructions if they give a specific height. I just literally sat on the toilet and looked to my sides and was like, where's a good place to reach if I need to use this remote, right? And then I hung it right there, which was about shoulder level on the left side. Overall, this toilet flushes really well. It's got all kinds of tech in it. It'll open up by itself when you walk in the room. There's a night light, and there's a little sensor in there that will keep any of the bidet parts, the washlet, the sprays from shooting all over the room if someone's not sitting there. Is that little black spot on the seat. And I wanted to test this, but I didn't really want to pull down my pants. So I was like, I was going to put a bucket over here and see if I can get everything to work, but it wouldn't go. And then I put my hand on that little dot, and once it detects skin contact, then it will allow the other functions to work, and I tested it out with a bucket. So there you go. That's how you test a washlet if you don't want to, test a washlet. Overall, I'm a pretty optimistic person. I like to have a good attitude about things. And this toilet kind of tested me a little bit that way because it's different. But that's where I say from the start, if you go into it with the right attitude and don't be thinking like you're installing a normal toilet, then you're going to be okay. And it's really not that bad. In the end, it's a good product. It has a good flush. The washlet has a lot of great features. I actually did enjoy installing this. I had that sense of accomplishment in the end, which you can too if you'll go out there, do your best. Don't forget to look into the manufacturer's installation instructions. I'm just telling you what I did, but you always want to make sure that you hit all of those steps or any of the recommendations that they have. I know we all get to work and think we know what we're doing, but if we really look into the instructions, there's probably a few things we miss occasionally. Hopefully this serves as a general guide to you as to what it's going to take to install the TOTO Nexus. Good luck with your installation. I'll see you next time.